Good afternoon, this is Nick with Williams Sewer Line Inspectors. We're performing a video inspection for 9315 Nightingale Drive in Hollywood. Right now what we're looking at is the city sewer. This is underneath the street in front of the house. This is the very first section of pipe that this property would be responsible for any maintenance or repairs should they become necessary. It is a clay material. Clay does not rust or corrode, so it doesn't have a finite life period that it can last for. Unless something exterior to the line affects it and breaks it, a clay line will continue to last indefinitely. Exterior things which can cause a problem for clay are roots and earthquakes. Right now we don't seem to have very many roots coming in through the line. Additionally, no cracks are visible up to this point in the inspection that would have been caused by earthquakes. This line's been there for quite a long time. If the earthquakes that have occurred so far in its life hasn't caused a problem, I would suggest that it's not likely that earthquakes will cause a problem for this line in the future. That being said, should a very significant sized earthquake happen, it is always recommended that the line be re-inspected, as things can shift about. This is a drop, and then as we pull back, we're now at the level of the piping for the rest of this property here. That's where we drop down to get to the level of the city sewer, which is about 5 feet deep underneath the street. Still in clay pipe as we're pulling onto property. No cracks, still not a single root. And then we go into a plastic pipe. Plastic is an excellent material for sewer lines because, like clay, it doesn't rust and it doesn't corrode. Unlike clay, it's flexible, and roots are not able to intrude into the joints of a plastic pipe as long as it's correctly installed. So, plastic line can give you a trouble-free, maintenance-free service period of about 200 years. Clay does need maintenance when it starts to have roots come into it. The latter half of this sewer line is clay and will eventually need maintenance. At this time, there's no roots coming into it, so there's nothing to recommend on it. This is a cast iron pipe. Based off of the look of the rusting that's occurring in the pipe, I would estimate it to be about 50 years old. A 50-year-old cast iron pipe usually has about 30 years left of life before needing any repair or replacement. When cast iron fails, it's due to the fact that it's been rusting very slowly over the course of about 80 years. Roots will be coming into the line when it starts to fail, and we're not seeing any roots in this line. In fact, this is one of the very few lines that I won't be recommending any maintenance be started right away on the line because of the lack of the roots. It's very rare that I'll not see roots coming into a sewer line. And this cast iron is looking pretty uniform in its rusting. Seems to have a fairly good slope to it, which is going to help it to rust slower. So it should get probably another 30 years of use out of this pipe before it needs to be replaced. Unfortunately, there is no method to see how thick the walls remaining in any section of the cast iron pipe is. We can't give an exact estimation of how long or how quickly this has been rusting because we can't see that information. But what we can see is that this is a very mild form of the rust process on the cast iron pipe. Really, the last couple of feet were really worse than the rest of the pipe all put together. The rest of the pipe looks to be holding together even better. I wouldn't be surprised if this cast iron needed to be replaced in about 40 years. Again, I can't give a guarantee on that just because of the nature of the material. At this point we go back into plastic pipe. So there's been a significant upgrade to the system with all of this plastic pipe. Probably additions or expansions in the past would be my guess as to the reason for that upgrade. Because the cast iron pipe is not likely to have caused any problems which would spark a repair upgrade. This is where we got into the line today. We're back here by the side corner of the house. Out there is the city and the side yard. Down there is the side walkway that goes towards the street. Just to sum up on this line, there's nothing that needs to be done with this line at this time in terms of maintenance or repair. It's one of the very few lines that I'll see in Los Angeles that have that recommendation. There's a lot of cast iron in the line, so in about 20 years or so, you could possibly be replacing this. Though I wouldn't be surprised if the cast iron lasted for another 40 years before needing replacement. It just looks in much better shape than I typically see cast iron pipe. The last thing to say on this line is that while it doesn't need any maintenance at this time, it would be a good idea to have another look at it in a few years, because when the roots do start to come into the line, maintenance is a really good way to prevent ever having to do a repair on a clay line. As long as it's maintained and it doesn't look like earthquakes are affecting it too much here, this line could last easily for another couple hundred years, as long as you do a regular maintenance. And while it's not needed at this time, it's a good idea to have a look at the line again in the future to see when the roots start to come in, and then to start cleaning them out when they start to come in. And that prevents them ever getting big enough to break the pipe. Please see my written report for all final findings and recommendations. Again, this is Nick with Williams Sewer Line Inspectors. Thank you very much, and have a great day.